I'm getting there. On your call, Madam President.
Trenton City Council meeting Tuesday, April the 16th. Let us stand for the flag salute.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act pursuant to Public Laws 1975, Chapter 231. This agenda is complete to the extent known and was sent to the Trenton Times, posted on the first floor bulletin board in City Hall, and filed in the city clerk's office. Formal action will be taken. Mr. Garcia?
Certainly. Roll call. Councilwoman Edwards.
Present.
Vice President Figueroa Kettenberg.
Present.
Councilwoman Frisbee.
Present.
Councilwoman Gonzalez.
Presente.
Councilman Harrison.
Present.
Councilwoman Williams.
Present.
Council President Fabian. And Council President Feliciano.
Present.
Myself, Brandon Garcia, Municipal Clerk, present. Mr. Edward Kaloji, Legislative Council, present. And Mr. West Bridges. Thank you. Madam President, if you'd like, I can read the invocation at this time.
Yes.
Almighty God, who holds the faith of man and nation, we most humbly beseech thee to bless this, our city, these deliberations, and these thy servants, that they may act with wisdom and understanding for the good of our community and thy greater glory. Amen.
Amen.
And Council President, at this time, I believe we are reached the point of public comment. I don't believe we have anything further prior to that.
Correct.
And it's my understanding that there is one individual here who wishes to speak to you regarding some items on the agenda. If we could have her come, please. I believe her name is Dahlia. I apologize, I did not have your last name. I couldn't hear you from here, but you can state it at the microphone. Just so you know, for public comment to the public, you will have 5 minutes to address any item that you wish. Just understand that the council is not obligated to respond.
Thank God they
And
don't
please state
hear
your
this.
name and address for the record.
My name is Dahlia Gabriel, and I am the environmental specialist for the city of Trenton, Trenton Sewer Utility. I'm also the stormwater coordinator for the city of Trenton. And we're basically here to present the ordinances that are listed on your agenda for tonight, the stormwater ordinances. So the city of Trenton was issued a stormwater permit by the New Jersey DEP in 2005. The MS4 stormwater permit, which the city must comply with, requires that the council adopt various ordinances related to the stormwater. A group of 10 ordinances are prepared, although those ordinances should have been adopted prior to this. We are now updating every one of the required ordinances to comply with the New Jersey DEP. These ordinances are a combination of minor updates, major updates, and introductions. Adoption of these ordinances will keep the city in compliance with this portion of the stormwater permit. There is a stormwater control ordinance which is under review by the city department heads. This ordinance requires more review before introduction, and it will be adopted by July 14, 2024. In addition to the ordinances, the city has multiple other requirements related to the operation and public works. One of the requirements is training. The governing body and the members of the planning zoning board are required to take an online stormwater training, which I will provide you guys with an email and which will include the link. You should get it tomorrow, I'm hoping. The training is about 45 minutes long. We are obligated to assure that every member of the governing body as well as the Planning Zoning Board members have taken the training. We request that upon completion of the training, each member provide an email or a written confirmation. We track the training in a yearly document called the Stormwater Prevention Plan. The SBP plan is an annual update. It requires an annual update, and it's among all the many items that the stormwater permit is requiring from us. The training requirement is listed in our permit, section 4F7. The record keeping should be available upon TEP and EPA request. Do you guys have any questions? So it's a required document. We have to submit it. We have to approve it. We have to move it before May 1st.
So just to be clear with the training, we'll be allowed to do this virtually as long as we submit an email or written response that we've watched it. So that saves us
Yes.
the presentation.
So the email should come back to me. You guys will be getting an email tomorrow from me with the
Mhm.
link. It's a 45-minute. Do it at your
Okay.
convenience before May 1st. Send me an email back confirming that you watched it, and I'm good to go. I'll put it in a file in case they inspect us. I have it on
Right.
file.
Okay, thank you. Any council colleagues have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We actually kind of did this in reverse. Good evening. I'm Michael Walker. I'm Chief of Communications for the water utility. And I,
Is this the same, I'm sorry, excuse me. Is this the same presentation?
it's just a kind of an addendum. It's like less than 50 seconds, maybe.
Go ahead, babe.
Okay.
So no, I'm
Um,
saying, did you sign up to speak publicly? So he called you?
No,
it
but
all-
we can
No,
do it
he's
for-
not. The
That's what I'm saying.
clipboard was
Yeah.
with me by the time he reached.
Okay,
But
go
I'll
ahead.
have you,
I'm
I'll
sorry,
have you fill
Michael.
this out later, Mr. Walker.
Okay. I proudly live in South Trenton. Stormwater. What exactly is stormwater? The United States Environmental Protection Agency defines stormwater as runoff generated when precipitation from rain and melting snow flows over land or impervious surfaces without percolating into the ground. So imagine this, every time it rains, the water picks up everything on the ground, animal waste, chemicals, pesticides, oil, litter, and sediment. This mixture, known as stormwater, ends up in the Delaware River, which is our raw water source. It's where we draw water to produce 30 million gallons per day of drinking water for our service area consumers. Why is the management of stormwater critical for our community? By implementing a comprehensive stormwater management plan and actively promoting its significance to the public, we not only meet federal and state requirements, but also significantly reduce pollutants in our water sources and contribute to the replenishment of groundwater. You've already met Dahlia. She's an environmental specialist. She's working very hard at the sewer utility to make sure that the city of Trenton is in compliance with stormwater regulations. The deadlines are pretty tight, and as usual with any environmental regs, they're onerous. So we appreciate your cooperation. Thank you.
Matthew Bledsoe, or Matt Bledsoe, sorry.
Good evening, Council. Matt Bledsoe. You can put me down, 225 North Clinton. Again, I'm here just to give you an update that to date, we still have no response in the retiree payments for the retroactive contract. Contrary to what Mr. Bridges thinks, there is no pending litigation. We have not consulted with an attorney, nor do we have one at this time. We simply just want to be paid, and we can't seem to get an answer. So we would, again, press on council to lean on the police department, the police director, to find out where the status of those payments are, as well as the paperwork just simply needs to get to the accountant. Thank you.
One moment, Madam President. Thank you. Edward Livingston. Yes. That's it. Mhm. Go ahead, sir.
Good afternoon, council members. Good afternoon, Madam President. My name is
No, go ahead. You got it. Took the
Yes.
words right out of my mouth. Thank you.
My name is Edward Livingston. I live in South Ward. I live on Grand Street. I'm here on behalf of the residents and workers due to traffic concerns. I'm gonna make this short. We signed a petition last year for stop signs, speed bumps, radar devices, and what's imperative is a three-way stop sign on the corner of Grand Street and Dayton Street. There have been several accidents. There have been there have been the principal, Mrs. Muzan, almost got hit last year. Myself almost got hit, and we would like the city to address putting more vehicle control signs, making that area school zone. It is already a school zone, but more signs for to designate that area as a school zone. Is a 25 miles per hour speed limit sign that is on Grand Street by the school, and there's a small sign that says school there. There's also a stop sign that's way too low. I think I'm going off course here, but I think I'm 6'4". It's probably about 7 feet. So if we can make those signs more visible to help prevent anything bad from happening. And basically, that's all I have to say. I appreciate everybody's time and for allowing me to speak. There also has been a petition. If the city doesn't have it, I do have a copy of it here. I've also spoken to the councilwoman and vice president, Mrs. Fierro. I can't even say my name. Jennifer Figueroa Kuttenberg. I've spoken to her directly, and she's on it. You know, I'm a little. Please excuse me. This is one of my first times at the meeting here, so I'm fumbling, but. I did tell everybody that I would come here, I would speak, and I would allow the city to see who's been emailing everybody, because I think I've emailed the world, and I didn't mean to. There's a chain of command here, but there is a serious problem with the traffic control on that intersection. And before anybody gets seriously injured, we would like the city to help us control the traffic there. Thank you very much for your time, and have a blessed day.
Can I get a copy of that petition?
Sure, you sure can.
On your call, Madam President.
We can continue to civic comments.
Certainly, Madam President. If you want to continue the civic comment, it's up to you with whom you'd like to start.
Thank you. Councilwoman Edwards.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Good evening, everyone. It's great to see you all today. My comments are very short. I just want to give a brief update on some comments that I made in a previous council meeting regarding our recycling. And I mentioned drafting a letter to the county and the commissioners, and I've since done so. And I'm hoping, well, they did respond, and I'm hoping that there will be a meeting on the schedule soon. But they were very receptive to it and understanding. I have received several responses from various people on the county level and on the city level as too. Our mayor also responded, citing that the city pays $1.7 million to the county for the recycling services that we currently receive. So to add on 2 more days means to double that budget. So since learning that information. As a freshman councilwoman, I don't know it all, but I'm still learning. And that's good information to know, because now my next step will be to advocate for them to take on that expenditure, because they possess a lot of tax exempt properties in the city, and this is a shared service. So I feel like, they can afford to pick up that tab for us. At least it would be only right or fair to the capital city. It's a fair exchange, I believe. So if we can find some money on the county level to increase recycling days for the city of Trenton, I think we would be better for it. We would be cleaner. And in comparison to our neighboring municipalities, I think that is very necessary in the city so that we can look a little more like them. I want to say in light of the recent uptick in gun violence, that my heart goes out to those who have been recently taken from us. And in my advocacy as a gun violence activist for gun sense legislation and for safer environments, it's disheartening whenever this happens. And that just is a constant reminder that we have so much work to do in our city to prevent this going forward. And so I look forward to the continued work with my colleagues in the administration in doing and initiating preventative measures across the board in every department, in every aspect. And those are my comments. Thank you for this, and have a good evening.
Thank you. Councilwoman Frisbee.
Thank you, Madam President. So good evening, everyone. I have a few announcements. The first one is that the Trenton City Museum at Ellerslie presents its spring family photo shoot and flower pot painting. That's going to be on Sunday, May the 5th, from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Again, that's at Trenton City Museum. It's in Cadwalder Park. On Sunday, May 5th, from 1 to 4 p.m. will be the spring family photo shoot and flower pot painting. And this is courtesy of the Williamson family of Trenton. Admission is free. They ask that you sign up in advance, and that is at ellerslie.org, or you can call the museum. And the children are encouraged to dress up, and they have to be accompanied by an adult. Also, Mott Elementary School is having our first ever Dress Up Career Day, and their collaborators are the Smith Family Foundation of New Jersey, Campfire New Jersey, our school community. And this is at Mott Elementary School, and it is for second and third graders. This will be on Wednesday, May 15th, from 9:45 a.m. to 11:45 a.m. If you want more information, you can contact either Mott School, Smith Family Foundation of New Jersey, or Campfire New Jersey. Again, this will be on Wednesday, May the 15th, from 9:45 a.m. to 11:45 a.m. And that is at Mott School, their first ever Dress Up Career Day for second and third graders. Next, this month, April 27th, I will be hosting a Sisters Sewing into Sisters. That is going to be for moms to be. So if you are a mom to be, if you have a mom to be in your life, if you know of a mom to be, I invite them to come out to Greater Mount Zion at 42 Pennington Avenue, where we are going to shower them. There will be a short program, but it'll be a lot of love that is given, and no mom to be will leave empty-handed. That is guaranteed. My final announcement is I am the co-lead for Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America for all of Mercer County. I've been a part of this organization for the last 9 years, and one of our biggest events is our Wear Orange. We will be having a march on June the 8th at 9 a.m., beginning at the corner of Calhoun Street and West State Street. We ask you to come out, show love to those families who have been impacted by gun violence. Gun safety ought to be the utmost for all of us. And we invite you to please come out. Please, sir, please, madam, please join us. It's at 9 a.m. If you do not make the march is only for 1 mile. It is from Calhoun and West State Street to Cadwalder Park. After we get to Cadwalder Park, there will be a program where we will have a lot of our officials, our law enforcement, along with several Moms Demand Action members as well. And we will tell you what it's all about and let you know how we advocate every single day for gun safety in our city, in our state, and the surrounding cities. With that, I want to thank everybody for coming out this evening. I want to especially thank our directors. Your life, what you do is not easy. Being the governors have over your department. We thank you for the work that you do, for your diligence, your steadfastness. Also want to thank Dan from DCA, always in the building. Appreciate you, sir. And to all of our friends and family that are here, you're always appreciated. Even from our cannabis department, we thank you as well for being here. Our administration right in front of us, from our clerk's office to our attorneys at law, we thank you for the time and the efforts that you put in. With that, the City of Trenton's mission statement is recognizing that the people of Trenton have made us guardians of the public trust. We are committed to govern with integrity and fiscal responsibility, to seek the excellence in the city's operations, and to serve all of the city's people with respect and compassion. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Thank you, Council President.
Councilwoman Williams.
Thank you, ma'am. Just want to say thanks to everyone for coming this evening, particularly our directors also, because I know with this council, which is a very hardworking council, we ask you to attend a lot of meetings. So when you have to attend the city council meeting, in addition to what we ask you to attend, it does mean a lot that you're able to make extra time. So thank you. Just have a few comments tonight and announcements. First, the North Ward Citizens Police Advisory Council meeting is tomorrow night from 5:30 to 7 at Galilee Baptist Church, 440 Martin Luther King Boulevard in the church basement. Please come. If you know someone in the North Ward, whether they own a business or a residence, have family and have some concerns, please send them and tell them to come, because it's the best way for us to interface with the police department, bring concerns forth. Also, the community street teams are part of our meeting, and it's all about trying to make Trenton safer, healthier, and a better place to live for everybody, particularly when even something is maybe considered a smaller issue, it's a bigger issue to us, because we want to make sure that quality of life is something that everyone has here, and that they live in a place that they want to come back to, and we give them no reason to ever want to leave Trenton. And that's what all this is about, I think, is making the Trenton a better place for everybody. So I want to just say thank you first to Trenton Public Works and also the Division of Traffic and Transportation and Mr. Santora. Took a little while longer than we wanted, but there's finally a four-way lighted stop signs and a four-way intersection at the intersection of Martin Luther King Boulevard, Ingham Avenue. So if you haven't gone through there, please do, but make sure you stop at the stop sign. It has been a little tricky, as some folks are used to how many times they've gone through that intersection, but it is making things safer. It's amazing how quieter it is, actually, even I've heard that from some constituents. But please see that, because that's a sign of progress. And the administration has been responsive to our request to try to make different neighborhoods more safer than they've been in the past, but also even on the main thoroughfares to see what can be done. And in a few years, hopefully, we will have the traffic lights installed as promised. So this interim gap of having the stop signs is to make sure that we have something to make everybody safe until we can get the traffic lights installed. Also, want to thank Public Works Division of Transportation and Traffic, as well as Mr. Santora, for getting the one-way directional signs installed at Heil Avenue between Princeton and Brunswick. It is something the residents very much wanted, and also will be a help to the hospital, because there wasn't enough room for people to park their cars, as well as have an efficient run of traffic. So that's another thing that's going to be improving life and quality and safety in that area. Finally, I just want to just ask, going forward, one of probably the chief complaint we've gotten, at least I know for me, one of the top three in the last about 10 months has been about parking. And I really think we're at the point we need to have a meeting, council members, administration, parking enforcement, police officers, police department. We need to have a way forward, whether it is on the parking enforcement officer side, more training, more direction, finding out what the rules are once they clock out, things go to the police department, how to best facilitate that, get information, communication, because our citizens are getting very frustrated. And there's inconsistencies with things happening such as what someone perceives as a commercial vehicle being ticketed when it's actually not a commercial vehicle. We do have, like, we had Mr. Cal several weeks ago came because he parked in front of his house and he was ticketed, and he's a long-term resident. We have to start finding some solutions. We just can't keep hoping that it's going to get better and kicking a can down the road. And I don't mean that as an aspersion, but we need to start solving the problem, and I hope we can do that together in the next couple months. So thank you very much and have a great night.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Harrison?
Could I call up Director Wally Terry? Mr. Onateri, what's your take on the towing of the vehicles on Washington and Gladstone? Could you give me a analogy why that happened and has it been addressed?
Good evening, Council President. Good evening, Council. Yes, what happened was that we had a contractor working out there, and normally they're supposed to give the signs, to put a no parking signs on the street 2 days before. Unfortunately, they missed to do that. And everybody that were told were not charged. All they did was move the vehicles to the side of the street so they can do what they have to do. But from here on, as for, they've done so many other streets. After that, they went through what we expected them to do, put the signs out to make sure people knows. So it's not, we don't have that problem anymore.
So what is that again? Is it 2 to 3 days? What is
Yes.
it? Before they pave?
Yes.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that was addressed because I know people were calling me about that, concerned about their vehicles getting towed, moved to side street. But I'm glad to hear this was addressed.
Yes.
Thank you, Wally.
Thank you.
Nothing else, Council President. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Gonzalez?
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being present. First, prayers go out to all of the families that have been affected. As mentioned earlier, we know the weather is breaking, so we hope that this does not continue to plague our city. Thank you to the Puerto Rican Day Parade for their Bodegoneers National Day celebration. It was very well attended and very informative as the history of the 65th Infantry. I also want to shout out North Clinton Avenue Church of Christ, who opened their doors to my students today to allow them to use their free laundry facility. This is open to the entire public. This is a free laundry service. It is at North Clinton Avenue at 434 North Clinton Avenue. All you will have to do is call to make an appointment and call the number 609-306-4892 and ask for Ms. Rosemary, and she would be available to make an appointment. We also have a color run that's happening at Trenton High, and that would be Saturday, April 27th from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. And that is in honor of Autism Month Autism Awareness Month. And then also just to piggyback off of Miss Councilwoman Frisbee, May 5th in Cowwater Park, tenemos los fotos para la familia de primavera. Pueden ir a la Cowwater Park desde what time does it start? 11? 9 hasta las 11 de la mañana. Also, just to address some of the things that were said today, thank you for the water department coming forth, Ms. Dahlia and Director and Michael Walker. We appreciate that because I was just going to ask to explain those things. So thank you for that clarification. To Mr. Bledsoe, I hope that is resolved really quickly for you all. And Mr. Livingston that was present with Grand Street, I believe we spoke about that. And I know Councilwoman Figueroa Kettenberg is working on it, but I know we spoke of possibly putting flashing traffic lights so that, flashing speed limit signs, because I believe we couldn't do speed bumps in that area, or I'm sure she has more information on that, but just know that we are working to do that or to fix that. Also before us, we have a resolution, 2408, and I'm hoping that we will get the support of the entire council body, my colleagues, as we are trying to find a balance between tenants and landlords with the hike in renters that are going up. So I want to say thank you to the director for working really diligent with me and to the attorneys on trying to amend that ordinance so that way we can find a balance for both tenants and landlords, both here in the city of Trenton. I think that's all I have for today. So thank you for being here this evening.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Council Vice President?
Good evening, everybody. So yeah, just a couple of quick things. Mr. Livingston, thank you again for coming and speaking to us. I do have an update as of April 12th. More petitions have to be submitted. Enough petitions were not, 75% of the residents affected needed that number of petitions need to be submitted. So that information was given back to me. And I can talk to you about that and I can help you get those extra signatures. The formal study for the three-way stop has not been conducted yet due to budgetary concerns right now. So they are working on that. Let me see, what else do I have for you? And they are looking to put the speed monitoring device there on Grant Street. So that will go up soon. Okay, so that's just a little bit of information that I have. You and your residents around you, your neighbors, all have this concern, and I've been hearing these concerns for the past 2 years, probably. Yeah. So definitely working on it. You know, everything may not happen overnight like we'd like them to, but definitely in the works. Every little thing that I'm able to get accomplished, or us council members are able to get accomplished, is like it's a small feat, but it's a step in the right direction. So definitely working on this. Thank you again for bringing that to our attention. And I know you were emailing the state and all types of stuff. So it's okay. It was okay. When I got your email, I called you. I said, okay. I also want to shout out Michael Walker and Hector Way. I called you guys on a Saturday about an issue in Trenton, and you both answered the phone. I don't see Hector in here, but both answered the phone and both went out right away and both dealt with the issue. So thank you guys so much. Well appreciated. And all the workers in the city, I mean, have just been doing a phenomenal job. You know, I got a squatter out of a house that I had boarded up not too long ago. They had a generator in there, so we were able to get them out. And, you know, just the little nuances, debris and a bunch of junk and behind a house that, you know, was a fire hazard. And honestly, I know people have their complaints, but for me, I think the city is doing a phenomenal job in a lot of the things that they're doing. And I don't mind pointing things out because, you know, the city workers can't always know exactly what's going on. We have to be the ears and eyes for the community, for the city. So thank you guys for all that you all do. I just wanted to say that on this Saturday from 3 to 10 at the station, it will be Public Safety Appreciation Day. So Hamilton, Ewing, Lawrence, Trenton, all public safety employees will be honored. So it'll be a great day if you want to come out. It is I think it's being thrown by Kevin Soto or the fire department, correct, Director? Yes. So please come out and show support. Also, Southward Neighborhood Association, our councilwoman Gonzalez is on the board. They're maintaining their garden this weekend on Saturday, I think beginning at 9 a.m. So if you're not doing anything, Lamberton and Furman, just come out and either help with the gardening or help clean up. I'm gonna bring supplies to the association so that they can do that. And I think that I don't have anything else. Mr. Bledsoe, we don't have any additional information for you. I understand your concerns, but the last email that we had was that they were working on it. Okay, so I wish I had more information, but we don't. All right, and that is it. So everybody have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us here tonight. I really don't have too much to say tonight. April is Autism Awareness Month and Sexual Assault Awareness Month. And so we have a couple of resolutions that'll be presented tonight due to timing of the month before my colleagues for the city of Trenton to recognize both. To that extent, I had even reached out. I want to shout out the fire department because they actually have training on autism awareness and techniques and everything. And I know that the police department is working on having that training again. It had been some time ago, but they're looking to do it again. So thank you for that. I also put the question out about if we have sensory response kits that they would utilize when they go out on site, because as I was reading up on it, there are actually toolkits. And so I know that the police director was looking into it to see how that may fit what it is that they all do. So thank you for being open to the prospect of expansion with regards to that. To Mr. Bledsoe, what Council Vice President said is true. They're working on it. That's what we're being told. I understand that you're frustrated. I understand, the desire to get what you're due. I respect it. I understand that. But just understand that we as the council, we're asking the question. But if the answer is the answer that we're getting, like short of us, breaking hands or anything, we're not going, that's the answer that we get. So our hearts go out to you all. Please understand that it's not falling on deaf ears. We're all asking the question. It is now up to the administration to do what it is that they need to do to make this whole for you. I do want to thank the police department for the responses when it came to a couple calls that I made about illegal parking that was taking place on the island. We need more signs and everything like that. Anthony Santor is going to be working on that. As a matter of fact, several of us are going to be doing a walking tour coming up with Wally and Mr. Cruz volunteered the BA. But we're going to move through the island and just kind of look and see what's needed over there. We feel like the forgotten children sometimes over there, but we want to make sure that that's taken care of. But thank you, Director Wilson, to your team for answering the calls expeditiously and taking care of those issues. I think that's all I have to say tonight. Again, thank you all for coming out. Mr. Garcia, we can continue.
Certainly. One moment. Okay, Madam President, at this time, moving on with the agenda, we reached communications petitions. So, well, you have minutes for approval for Thursday. If there are no questions on communications and petitions, there was no report. And we are at ordinance for second reading. This is the Ravenel Way ordinance. This is ordinance 24-23. Ordinance authorizing the honorary name of Joseph and Mary Ravenel Way to New Rose Street. If there are any questions with that ordinance at this time? If none, I'll move on. And moving on to resolutions. Madam President, if it's okay with you, I could address the walk-ons that we have at this time?
Yes.
Certainly. So at this time, we have walk-on resolutions, and we do have a walk-on ordinance, as well. The resolution is first walk-on resolution is resolution 24-157, resolution authorizing the removal process for Cherie Garrett, a member of the City of Trenton Housing Authority. Resolution 24-158, resolution recognizing April as Autism Awareness Month in the City of Trenton. Resolution 24-159, resolution recognizing May as Mental Health Awareness Month in the City of Trenton, excuse me. And 24-160, resolution recognizing April as Sexual Assault Awareness Month in the City of Trenton. We also have an ordinance to add to our first readings at this time. And this is an ordinance of the City of Trenton to adopt NJDEP's model ordinance regarding tree removal and replacement to amend Chapter 287 of the Code of the City of Trenton. That will be ordinance 24-38. With those items out of the way, Madam President, if you or the council have any items outside of Resolution 24-156 and 24-154, which is authorizing executive session and a settlement. Are there any other items that you wish to pull from a consent agenda at this time? Hearing none, Madam President, if it's so, okay.
No, 1 second. Councilwoman Williams.
Thank you, Council President. Not actually have any items, but I didn't know where this would actually be appropriate, but going forward with new board members, if we have a board member that's not being reappointed, i.e. they're being appointed for the first time, I believe I spoke about this last year, if we could have them come to introduce themselves to council, to be questioned perhaps, but also just present themselves, because it helps establish a certain level of professionalism and also commitment that has been lacking over the last 10 years in some of our boards when they have not had quorums. And it'd be good to get off to a great start. But I have no issues with the candidates tonight, ma'am.
Madam President?
Yes.
So I have it's not that I want them to be rude. I have a couple of questions. So the ones that I have questions are on 24-137,
Mhm.
24-138, 24-149, 24-014, and 24-028. That was the last one.
Yes.
028.
So 24-137, 24-138, 24-149, 24-014, 24-028.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just to be clear, Madam President, as I understand it, these are questions for the directors at this time. These are not items to be pulled from any consent agenda yet, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Mhm.
And Madam President, if it's your wish, did you like to address any questions regarding the resolutions at this time?
One second. Are
Certainly.
do any other council people have any, I want to get all of this out of the way first, like
Certainly.
we normally do.
Certainly.
So anyone else have any questions about any resolutions that are before us? No one has any other questions? Okay. Let us begin.
Okay, Madam President, with that being said, if there are any specific resolutions that were named that you'd like to call any of the directors up?
Let's start with 24-137, please, and 24-138. They both fall under administration. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. Jim Beach, Chief of Staff.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam President. So, Mr. Beach, I have just a couple of questions. With 137, this is the resolution for the American Plan for the Seasonal Workers. It says that we're allocating $2,500 for these workers. I take that back, 2 million, I'm sorry, $2,500,000. My question is, are all of them going to be part-time? Are will they be full-time throughout the summer is what I guess what I really want to know.
So Councilwoman Frisbee, this marks the third year that we've used the ARP money for seasonal workers. And the way it's been managed is largely, and we'll have to get a breakdown for you if you so desire. It's been used for summer workers or fall workers, but also it's been used in some instances for part-time workers that will work for a period of about 6 months.
Okay. Right, so that's really it. And I do remember seeing a lot of our youth. This is the money that we use this money for throughout the city for summer. Is
That's
that correct? Okay, thank you so much on that one. Moving along to 138. This says that these monies are going to be set aside for the repair and improvement of various city buildings. And looking at the buildings, and recently it was brought to my attention that the West End Little League, West End batting cage actually, is in need of, not a whole bunch, but in need of repairs. Can we add that item to this?
I would not recommend that, Councilwoman. We've given Parks and Recreation, I'm just going to kind of roughly give you an eyeball, over $7 million to do many repairs and many upgrades to all different facilities throughout the city. The 2.5 that's being appropriated here, quite honestly, is not going to be enough money for the projects that are designated in this resolution, but we need some money to start somewhere. If you look above your heads, in this chambers, that's one of the uses. If we go out on the roof above the ceiling over your heads, we're going to find even bigger problems, I fear. So, and that's just City Hall. And then there are other buildings that are identified in this resolution. So as much as I think, we'd like to use that money, but I think Parks and Recs, and we'll have to go back and do an accounting. They may still have monies from earlier appropriations that they can use for the West End batting cages.
Okay, and at West End batting cages, even though I know it was put out there that it was exterior, I realized that the exterior actually had been repaired back in November. So the repairs that I'm actually referring to now are actually interior, that they're not major. So I'll have a discussion maybe a little bit later on with you and the directors of.
Yes, that's fine. I think I'll take it
Yes.
up with Director Richardson and we'll find out, how much money she still has, and then also to address your questions.
Excellent. Thank you so much, sir. Those are those two. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Council President, I know I didn't say I had a question, but I do. For one, thanks.
Which one? Was it
One,
in there?
24,150. It's a real quick question though. It's for Director Simple. I don't know if anyone else was first though, but.
Okay, I'll get to you. Thank you. 24, so let me just say this real quick too. So to Councilwoman Frisbee, thank you for those questions. I actually forwarded you all the notes with the description and the memo
Right.
and everything on April the 11th with their breakdown of everything.
No, I was just, we can
Right.
get another one in there, but
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So we can add these back on? We can-
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so they stay on, Mr. Garcia, 24, 137, 138 are good. Thank you. All right. 24, 149, that is Ms. Ferreira. Good evening. If you could hit the button to turn your mic on, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Good
Good
evening,
evening.
Councilwoman.
Thank you, Madam President. So this is just a real, I guess, some simple to me anyway. My question is with this resolution, this is for auction services for multiple properties. My question is, how are we advertising this so that the public is made aware? That is one of the biggest concerns that we have. Many folks say they'd love to be a part of our auction, but they're not aware of it. So how many places are we, for the most part, going to be advertising these?
So for this particular resolution, this is a resolution to hire auctioneer
Right.
services. And that is pretty much the first step of the process. So once we go through the normal procurement process, through a fair and open process, through an RFP, and select either one auctioneer or several auctioneers, then we start to engage the kind of the vetting of the properties. And once the auctioneer is brought on board, they'll work with the department, with the administration. They'll start preparing a list that we can fully vet. And when I mean vet, I mean making sure that the property is stable, the property is vacated, we do not have squalors in there. The property is safe and sound, that it can be put on an auction list without having to revoke the property at the last minute and upset the auction process. And then at that point, that list, once we get closer to the point where we are going to start finalizing dates, putting out public notices, that's when we can start giving that list to the members of the public. We don't want to start putting out a list that hasn't gone through the full process, that hasn't been approved by city council, hasn't been reviewed by the administration. I think it would be unwise to put that list out there without having gone through its due process of review and approval. I would say that closer to probably a month to probably 2 weeks to the auction date, the list will be ready, would have been received all its approvals. And when we do advertise in the paper, we also make the list available on the city's website. And we make the list available in the office if anybody wants to come in to the office, any of the residents. When residents do come into the office and ask for the list, and at the time the list is not ready, we make them aware that the list is not ready for the various reasons that I stated, but we will take their name and contact information and put them on a list. So then we do a blast. And that is also part of what the auctioneers are responsible for, getting the lists that they put together to advertise in the paper, to email potential developers and potential buyers, as well as the list that has been accumulated by walk-ins in the department and anyone else who has shown some interest that wants to be notified of the auction process.
Thank you so much. So for the record, if you would just state the name of your department and where it's located, so they'll know when the time comes where they can get that advertisement if they don't see it on the city website or for whatever reason.
Yes, so my department is located on the 3rd floor, City Hall. And we usually have information on our website. We also have a lot of information just out in the front desk. And then we have 2 individuals in the front desk that can direct people if they want to have more questions, if they have questions about the list and the process.
Thank you, Ms. Farrow. Appreciate you.
Can I ask a quick question? 24-126, I can't find it in my packet, but I do have a question. Where we're amending the resolution designating the other properties, Hart Avenue and everything. My question is, we've allowed like a lot of developers to buy properties and stuff, right? And we've not seen them begin work yet on some of them. So I guess my question to you is, what will be done? Will you put a timeline? Like, can we look at these purchases and everything to say, okay, yes, you can buy them, but within, groundbreaking or whatever, something has to be done within X time period, right? Because it's nice, you see everybody buying the stuff, but if it's still sitting after a certain period of time, what can we do to get out of the deal or to kind of move things along?
Okay. Do you want me to answer that, Jim? So I won't speak to all the properties that we.
Well, not
that we-
all, just
But
with
there are,
like your
there are
overall idea.
provisions that some of these properties that we do engage and we sell with it to an interested party and they are sitting on it and they're not moving on it. There are functions that we call it like crawl it back. We can take the property back and then move it, put it back on the market or put it back into a program that we can get then a buyer who's actually going to move and develop the property and not sit on it.
So then what I would ask is then, okay, so we'll move ahead with this, but then if you can look back at things that we have already sold and then determine what, if any, would need to be clawed back, that would be great because there are some that have been sitting. So it just would be good for us to know that there's monitoring that's actually happening to make sure that things are moving along as expected with the properties.
We will do that.
Thank you.
Council President?
Yes.
I just want to echo what you were just asking about my colleagues, because a lot of my constituents have asked about this, and even why can't, if someone's not doing something in 2 or 3 years, take it back?
Yep.
Like, and we need to have a defined limit so the purchasers know the clock's running on them. Because I've had constituents ask me about why certain people are banking projects in the city or banking properties. And that they would never have access to because they're not powerful and wealthy. And we just want to make the system fair.
I'm going to defer because Jim was the interim acting director during that time.
Jim Beach, Chief of Staff. Just to answer your questions, in terms of the running of the clock, it starts when the purchaser is given their first permit. And so if the permit process drags out, then the clock to do this rescission of the agreement will also drag out. Unfortunately, there's been a backlog of permits and such, given the understaffing and inspections. But as we try to restaff in that area, hopefully that will move along to your points of not letting these properties sit.
So, Mr. Beach, if we had more inspectors on staff, but we would need the monies for those inspectors, then we would be able to speed up this process for all the citizenry.
I think that's a fair assumption, Councilwoman. Unfortunately, this is not a unique problem to Trenton. Every municipality, from what I understand from DCA, is having trouble finding and hiring inspectors. And we're not alone in that venture. However, we are trying to work with other municipalities. We've been told that DCA has a bucket of money they can do when they do sharing of those resources between municipalities. So we're looking into that with Mr. Bridges' assistance.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Madam President,
Yes.
I have a question.
Go ahead, babe.
Thank you. I want to say first and foremost, I appreciate my colleagues for bringing up these questions because this is something that is an issue for the city that we've been talking about for some time now. So to follow up on what you just said, Mr. Beach, suppose they never file for any permits after they purchase the property. What is the recourse for that for a
There
callback?
is a time deadline by which they need to do something, Councilwoman. I don't know that specifically. As I stand here, I can ask and find that out for you, though.
So for those properties that are not in compliance, so they haven't begun any type of construction on a property or whatever the time frame is from the beginning of the first permit that's issued, or say they don't issue a permit because they never applied for one, but what are we doing, or is there anything that the city is doing to call back those properties? Because there are many that have been sold years ago that are still sitting and dormant, and I can name a couple dozen off the top of my head, addresses
more than
and
that,
owners'
but yes.
names, trust me. So what is the city doing anything actively, or what is it going to take to enforce calling those back, or at least reaching out to them to say, hey, if you don't, this will happen according to NJSA or ordinance 20, whatever?
It's really a contractual issue, Councilwoman, that, when we enter into these redevelopment contracts with them, that sets forth the terms by which, they need to put the shovel in the ground, by which they need to complete the project. So that will dictate, the actions. To your point, we do have meetings with some of the developers, particularly those who have been sitting on their properties for years at a time. Again, it becomes a bandwidth issue of how much we can do. But yes, I don't disagree. It needs to get better. It needs to be done more often, but that takes resource to go after them. And really, it's just simply then invoking that rescission clause and then saying, all right, you know what, you didn't meet the deadline, contract's null and void, we're taking the property back, and they lose their 10% down payment.
Okay, thank you.
Councilwoman Frisbee has another
I'm
question.
sorry, so that triggered. Thank you so much, Madam President. So just like we have, when one of the residents' homes, they're seized, so to say, by the city for non-payment. After so much time they're given, there's a whole process that we go through before it actually goes on the roll here. With these properties that are sold, can we have the same thing that applies, or that we work it in there that it applies, so that they're not doing what they said they were going to do, or they're not going to do anything with it at all, that we have time limits on it so that it is not just sitting normal and then it comes back to the city and goes back on the roll. So we're not, I look at a big, huge house with a tree growing out of it on West State Street across from a firehouse that's been dormant for as long as I've been living here. And stuff like that. I'm seeing whether it is someone that's just buying it or a homeowner that has their house sitting dormant, all things like that. Those are the things that are concerning. And if we could help with getting that the beautification of our city will help.
No, I mean, it's even simpler than that. You know, you don't need to go through anything even approaching a tax foreclosure. It's simply invoking the rescission clause in the agreement that they signed. But it's just a matter of doing it. And yes, you know, it's not being done.
So we bring you properties that have trees that have literally grown out through them. We can get some movement on them. Okay.
You
I'm
can.
going-
I mean,
We're gonna
we
go
can
for a
share
walk.
some sob stories that we hear from the developers, but yes, but.
I don't care about their sob stories. Thank you so much, Mr. Beach. This is good to
Council
go back
President, if I
on.
may, just to add a little clarification to that, with those properties, some of them may be city-owned properties, not necessarily ones that were sold. So if we get a list of properties with trees in it, probably 50% of them are going to be us telling on ourselves. Yeah. But to Mr. Beach's point, it's all contractual, and there's rescission clauses, not even close to as long as interim tax foreclosure. It's basically filing an affirmative action, Chancery Court saying we're taking this back pursuant to this clause.
Thank you. So it can stay on consent, Mr. Garcia, that's,
Thank you. That's 126 we're talking,
and 149.
and 149. Thank you.
Thank you. 24-150, Director Semple. Oh, wait, somebody, no.
Just a quick question, Director Simple. I see the reimbursement of the overpayment on this sewer bill for this particular building. It said due to equipment malfunctions. So has that issue been addressed? Has it been fixed?
Good evening, Council President, Council Vice President, Director Semple, Trenton Water and Sewer. Yes, this is why this is the reason why we have to make this adjustment. This is the Bo Robinson facility that's been closed for many
Right.
years.
That's what I'm-
So we weren't able to read since 2010. We haven't been able to get an actual reading to that facility. And once we got in to get the actual read, this is an adjustment we had to make. And this client, they pay their bills on time.
Okay, I just saw malfunction, so I wanted to make sure because it's vacant that it was right. Okay, thank
Have
you.
some new owners there now, so
Okay.
we're on track.
Thank you so much.
Director
And-
Semple, I'm sorry. I was gonna leave it alone, but you open the door, I'm gonna go ahead and walk in. So the issue was estimated payments that were made, not actual payments that were assessed on the property.
That's
Right?
correct.
So that's the issue. So I guess the question then would be, because I asked for docket review, and thank you for answering the questions and sending the information over on that. The property was vacated on 7/18/22, right?
Yes.
Bo Robinson left 7/18/22. But then I had asked printouts for July 2023, March 2023, March 2022, December. We still were, I mean, I don't even know why they were paying and we were still doing the billing. Like, why were we still even billing? How come we didn't know that the building was vacated when it was vacated, that we were still doing these readings in the first place?
So during COVID, we weren't getting into a lot of facilities.
Mhm.
And so it was very difficult ever since then, but we've started a new campaign. If you notice, it was July of 2023 when we actually attempted and we got into these facilities. And we have this problem going on throughout our franchise area that we're trying to fix. We have an aggressive program
Mhm.
and we're getting them fixed. Some of them, people owe us a lot of money too. Some people we have to reimburse because of this. But we're working very diligently to try and get these estimated reads down. And this is why, especially with the smart meter program, we need to get into people's homes.
Mhm.
So this will alleviate a lot of our estimated rates.
Okay, thank you.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President, would that be
Yeah,
for?
you know what, though? I just want to say, I would petition everybody that's like listening or watching to pay attention to your bill, because on the water bills, it does say that after a certain number of attempts of estimated readings, you have to contact the water company. And then that will allow them to come. There's probably something wrong. There's an ECR reading or something that is not registering correctly when they're trying to read the meter. You have to let these people in so they can see what's going on. So I just wanted to say that. And if you check your bill, I did suggest at one time before that the water company make it in a different color. I know for me, when I was paying my water bill before, you just kind of take it and throw it to the side until that pink piece of paper shows up in the bill. Oh, something is happening. So maybe if something else, another color or something could be done to make that stand out, to say, we need to get into your home, this is it, then maybe that will grab their attention. So thank you for your new campaign and for pushing on these estimated readings. Thank you. Councilwoman Gonzalez, is this okay to go on consent?
Yes.
Thank you. It is okay.
Thank you.
Garcia, thank you. 24014, the ordinance 24014.
Council President?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Well, wait a minute.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You have to wait because Councilwoman Frisbee asked for
No
it
trouble.
first, and then you come after her. This is the ordinance amending Chapter 10, the alcoholic beverages, Section 10.5, restrictions on the code of the city of Trenton to prevent the waiver of distance restrictions. Who can answer for this from the administration? Somebody? Anybody? Everybody. Well, who wrote it? Who submitted it?
Waiver of distance restriction.
Good evening, Council. Jim Beach, Chief of Staff.
Good evening, Mr. Beach. So my question on this is about distance restrictions, and it is uniform for everyone with one exception, and that is Roebling. I don't understand why Roebling is the exception. Can you explain to me? It says it here with Roebling. In the second paragraph, it says, I'll start from, where section 10 of the code of the city of Trenton prohibits new preliminary retail consumption of preliminary retail distribution licenses from being issued where the proposed location is within 1,000 feet of another premises holding either of said license, said distance between measured in normal way that a pedestrian would probably walk from the nearest entrance from one premises to the other, except that the restriction shall not apply within a portion of the Roebling Entertainment District as defined in 10.5 below. And that's talks about the hours of sale and non-alcoholic beverage shall be sold during certain times. I'm not understanding why Roebling is an exception.
So the carve out for the Roebling Entertainment District goes back to an ordinance that I believe was passed back in 2018, where the then city council passed an ordinance establishing the Roebling Entertainment District. And as part of that, they eliminated, that 1,000-foot, what we call the buffer zone, to allow, other establishments to serve alcohol, closer than 1,000 feet of one another.
So this is the only location in the city where this exception is
Currently.
currently, I would say, because that's going to hit home for others when they start their own entertainment area.
And we are aware of that, Councilwoman, and we are working on developing something similar to what was done for Roebling.
Okay, thank you.
Council President.
Councilwoman Edwards, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. On page 3, under letter D, there's a section that says, any person or entity who violates any provision of this section upon conviction shall pay a fine of not less than $500, no more than $2,000. Trenton City Code plus cost of prosecution per violation. This shall include the business owner, person in charge, individual operator, manager, or patron as appropriate. So I was just wondering with the $500 amount, why that was chosen and if that could be raised to $750, sir.
I believe any increases within the discretion of this council. So
Okay.
I believe that was taken from, the enumeration of fines that are already in the the city ordinance.
From years ago?
Correct.
Okay. Madam President, what I would like to ask if this is a need for amendment with Mr. Kaloji's, if he could tell us if hopefully it would not substantially change the ordinance because it wouldn't want to hold the ordinance from moving forward. But I'd like to see the $500 limit raised to $750, and I would be happy to propose a motion to that effect for an amendment.
Assuming it's permissible under our general fines and ordinance, not in contravention of that, I would not consider that a material change to increase it $250, such that if you wanted to amend it, you could do that on the floor. Mr. Kaloji, what's your opinion on that? Raising the penalty under the ABC ordinance from $500 to $750 for penalties.
As long as council stays within the parameters of what they're allowed to raise it to, I believe it's $2,000 is the maximum. So anywhere in there is fine, whatever their discretion.
So I think that's consistent. I believe that's right. So yes, it would not be a material change such that if you wanted to make that amendment, it would be council's vote today to make that amendment.
Thank you, sir. So Madam President, I would like to make a motion to amend this ordinance 014 to raise the amount from $500 to $750, please.
Do we have a second?
Second?
It's been moved in second. I'll call the roll. Councilwoman Edwards,
Yes.
Vice President Figueroa Kettenberg, Councilwoman Frisbee,
Yes.
Councilwoman Gonzalez,
Yes.
Councilman Harrison, Councilwoman Williams,
Yes.
and Council President Feliciano.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Councilwoman Williams, Edwards.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to, while I have you, Mr. Beach, is to address this ordinance. Thank you for adding this back to the docket. However, some of the recommendations to Councilwoman Frisbee's point of designating like downtown as a downtown entertainment district and adding that specific language to this ordinance. To Councilwoman Frisbee's point, other people are going to be upset. So it's like, we did this for Roebling. I feel like it should be done for downtown specifically in the same way that is done for Roebling, where it's broken down by blocks and lots. And each of these properties that are on here have been vetted and identified as in compliance to be a alcohol license premise if they so choose, because as per our ordinance, they have to fit a certain description and facade and everything in order to qualify to have it in that specific building. So I proposed that we also do the same thing for downtown Trenton and add in all of the blocks and lots that meet that eligibility requirement for our alcohol ordinance. But I have not gotten any type of update on that to date. And to also add that language in the section that you're adding this paragraph to. So in the last sentence before the new paragraph that you're proposing that we add, it stops at, it shall not apply within a portion of the Roebling Entertainment District. Can we add downtown entertainment district to that too? So that we're just making sure that everything is within compliance and to an understanding. So, but I do understand what this addition is saying. So, but it's not here in the language that downtown specifically is one of the areas where we could do this at.
I don't think we just.
Excuse me, one second, Mr. B, I'm sorry, Councilwoman. Was downtown even established as an entertainment district? I think that was the issue when this came before us the last time. It was the fact that there were many things that were being bunched in together, right? And I had said, we need to pull this apart and let us do it section by section. So to make sure that we're correct in what we're looking at. So while your points are valid and well taken, I think that we need to do it piece by piece, because the downtown area, if I'm not mistaken, Councilwoman Williams, has not even been established as an entertainment district yet. So we would have to have something brought forward to us to establish that first. And then we can do as you've asked about, and then have them look at it that way.
Council President.
So has it not been established as an entertainment district as per our Trenton 250 code map?
No, that has to
Yeah.
be something that has to be established through ordinance by
Right.
this body.
There you go. Okay.
Okay.
And actually,
Councilwoman?
that is in process currently, ma'am, for an entertainment district in downtown Trenton.
Yeah.
So that will be coming soon to a theater near us, I would think within the coming months. But that is something that needs to be established separately because it's also with zoning and everything else involved with it.
Right.
Yes, and thank you for saying that, Councilwoman Williams, because I've been trying to revisit this sooner rather than later, because I definitely was a part of those conversations and understood that it needs to be an entertainment district. I know we were talking about Restaurant Row, but I was definitely one of the ones advocating for an entertainment district. So I would love for us to revisit that conversation sometime in the upcoming future. So I'll reach out to you.
Yeah, that's something that I think everybody wants, but we need to make sure that the city is the driver of this, including with the assistance of associating and asking questions of our law enforcement to get their opinions. So we need to make sure we get this right. I know everybody wants that because I agree with you. We need to establish some rules and we need to have an entertainment district. But we do need to balance all the other interests, the nonprofit groups, the businesses downtown and the residents downtown. And we'll get there. I'm confident of that.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies. Okay. All right. So
Yes, we could put this. back
thank
on.
you. So this can go on consent. Thank you very much.
Madam President, it's an ordinance, so I believe we.
Oh,
need a
yeah, I'm
roll call
sorry.
no
I'm
matter
sorry.
what.
You're right. They threw me off. And then ordinance number 24028, the ordinance to amend chapter 222 of the Code of the City, Trenton Rent Control to fix the rental increase at 4%. If someone from the administration could speak to this, thank you.
Marcia Ferrara,
Hello.
Interim Director, Housing and Economic Development.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Ferrera. So I need to just make sure that I was actually reading this correctly. Where it talks about the chart below on the first page, it shows the rent index and the history for the past 7 years. If I'm understanding this correctly, this is saying in 2003, from January 1 to June 30th, there was a 7.9 increase. Is that correct?
Correct.
So my question, actually my proposal is, I see that we are doing a fixed rate, a maximum rental increase for 4% for regular tenants and 2% for all seniors tenants or disabled tenants. I would propose with such a large rental increase that they incurred already in 2023, which we're just on the heels of, that especially for our seniors, that they skip a year that they are even allowed to increase the rent by. 7.9, 7.5 for anybody is excessive.
Yes.
And I would love to see that we have this amended so that for the year 2024, that they are not allowed to actually increase the rent being given, as well as those who have already done this 7.5 to 7.9% increase, that they're not allowed, if they've already done an increase of that mass, that they are not allowed to do anything until 2025 with it, and then staying within the parameters of the 2% and the 4%. That is my proposal for this ordinance.
I would have to work with our law department. I wanted to, I guess, because a lot of the percentage increase is based on the states and fair housing rules that we abide by. So I don't know if those statutes allow us to skip a year to remedy a hike, as well as how we would, then there's the second part of that is how can we actually effectuate that, instituting those renters that have already received the 7.9 hike in 2023, having them kind of made whole by skipping a year. So I would probably want to continue to work with Mr. Bridges to figure out how that, if legally we can do it within the state's housing rules, as well as how we would actually make that change and assist those individuals that already received the 7.9.
Thank you. We definitely want to do it legally.
Yes.
So if at all possible, I just think that it is just really excessive looking at the previous years and to go from 2.2 to 3.6 and then jump to 7.9, some of our residents had to incur. I think that is just really that's tying folks, hog tying them and hurting the families in all kinds of way. We're already having issues with folks just trying to pay rent, keep the lights on. So if we can find it legally that we can get that done, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you so much.
Director Bridges?
Yes, thank you, Council President. If, may I make a suggestion that we keep this on for now? I should be able to answer that question for everyone by tomorrow morning, whether or not that is allowable. And if it is, then I would make a further recommendation that we put that amendment on the record for this council on Thursday's meeting to have it amended and then voted on. I just don't know with 100% certainty if that's permissible, and I'd like to find that out before we take those steps today.
Thank you, Director. Thank you,
Council
Madam
President.
President.
Thank you. Yes,
Yeah.
Councilwoman.
So I just wanted to, just to Council Frisbee's point, that was the whole point of us like trying to do this because of the increase. It was just a drastic increase for these renters. So we want to make sure that they don't continue to raise that high. So we wanted to kind of put it at, we balance it out between the landlords and the tenants. So thank you for that input.
Councilman Harrison?
Yeah, if it's allowable, I would second Councilwoman Frisbee's, because I think it's a wonderful idea. Thank you, Councilwoman Frisbee.
Thank you. Thank you.
Madam President, well, so to be clear then, is this item to remain or is that a second to?
So it's gonna remain. Director Bridges is gonna give us the email by tomorrow morning.
Okay.
So we can see what we need to see about whether or not they can skip a year or not. And if they cannot skip a year legally, we're still gonna move ahead with this. Okay, so we'll still move ahead
So it's-
either way, but we want to know if it has to be amended or not on Thursday.
Yeah, and I think
Okay.
the answer is going to be an affirmative. I just would really want to confirm that with 100% accuracy
Thank you.
before I said yes.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Nonetheless, it remains on the agenda, Madam President, and to the council. Are there any other questions now that we've reached ordinances? And I believe we're in the questions for ordinances for first reading on Thursday. Are there any other questions regarding ordinances at this time? And just a note for the public and to the
Mr. Clerk.
council, I will read the
President.
ordinances by title each on Thursday for their introduction.
Councilwoman Williams has a question.
Certainly.
I just have a question, just because that discussion, which was very, very good, and I'm glad that my colleague, Councilwoman Frisbee, brought it up. If we could get a legal interpretation from Mr. Bridges on how the Rent Stabilization Board will function with something like this, I'd like to understand that a little bit better.
Happy to.
And also regarding the Rent
You meant written.
Stabilization Board, I know
That's
that,
fine for you.
I know that Councilwoman Gonzalez, was asking about that. I spoke to the mayor, yesterday about it and, asked if he begun to, appoint people or taking in applications and stuff. So they're looking to get that started sooner rather than later, Mr. Beach.
Yes, good evening. If I may add to that, so we have reconstituted the board and unfortunately, we didn't have the resolutions placed in front of you in time to make this session's docket, but they will be on the May 7, May 9 session.
Okay.
And I think to Councilwoman Williams' point, would you like us to invite then the individuals who we are recommending to appear before council?
Yes, please, sir. Thank you.
Will do.
Thank you.
Mr. Bridges offered to give a legal interpretation. Do you want to do it now or in writing? Okay. Oh, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Are there any other questions regarding ordinances at this time?
No.
No? Okay. Then in that case, Madam President, I've been informed that executive session can be moved to Thursday. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so executive session will be moved to Thursday. Other than that, this time, I believe we've reached the end of our agenda. I don't have any other remaining items.
May I have a
So if-
motion to adjourn?
Indeed.
Motion that moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second. I'll call the roll. Councilwoman Edwards,
Yes.
Vice President Figueroa Kettenberg,
Yes.
Councilwoman Frisbee,
Yes.
Councilwoman Gonzalez,
Yes.
Councilman Harrison.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Council President Feliciano.
Yes,
Motion carried, meeting adjourned. Thank you.
thank you.
Yes.
Sir.